referring to that book which he is reading of Eckhart Tolle of The Power of Here Now. So he was just sharing with me what he has understood. So I was saying to him that here now is not the moment which is not the past and which is not the present. It is a movement, it is a continuity, it is a flow. This whole eternity, the life which is not stagnant, moving one frame to the other frame. It is not moving movement into the frames. So you can catch the frame which is now, and you can just catch the frame which has gone, which you call past. It is not that way. It is a flow. Like when you watch a movie. Actually, the movie means it is recorded frame by frame. But when it is with the speed, you feel the continuity of it. So how can you say that the frame which is now showing, you have seen it? It is a flow. How can you catch it? See, unless it is played in a slow motion. Unless it is played in a slow motion, then you can catch the frame. So this is a flow of life, which is a movement. It is a movement. And in the moment, it is always now. It is always now. So to be here now, how can you be here now? We have been taught that we have to be conscious of what is happening now. Now when you become conscious of what is happening now, it is already gone. It is already gone. So what you are becoming conscious of through your effort, because there is an effort involved to be conscious. So what you see when you become conscious, you think that you are conscious of now. It is somewhere a replay of recorded memory into the brain. That's all. So how can you be here now? I say drop the effort and just wake up. Be awake to that what is flowing at this moment. Just flow with it. To flow with it is to be here now. Not to hold something and catch the moment, but to flow with it. To flow with it without any effort. Then when you are into the flow, each moment of the flow is happening here now. I don't know whether I make it clear. If you have little understanding, you will understand what I am saying. See? And this flow is just naturally flowing. You cannot hold it, you cannot stop it. It is just flowing. Each moment is just flowing. So there is no particular present moment. There is no particular present moment. Past means that which is recorded into the memory and you try to replay it and again see it is the past, which is gone. And the future means you are trying to see something which is not actually visible. So what is visible? See, like when you are watching the sky or when you are watching the sunset, you are looking, but the sun is moving. Sun is moving. Simultaneously, the earth also is moving. Everything is moving. So you are connected to something in the flow of that moment. So you are one with the sun at that moment. So you are not aware of the sun's movement. You are just flowing the way the sun is moving. So that connection to the moment itself, where no desire to be aware of, no desire to be conscious of, no effort to become aware, to be conscious, but just to be there, where there is no separate entity who is experiencing. There is just the experience.
But I feel like I lose the connection when the internal dialogue starts. And it's I'm not trying. But I'm not trying. It seems to be happening on its own accord.
Yeah, because the the thought frames are constantly moving. You see, what is the, the, the job of the brain is to supply you the thought frames. And thought frames are activated with some kind of sensation that is happening on any of the senses.
Like an
Whether,
association.
whether it is required for an attention or not required for an attention. Any sensation happening to any senses constantly activates the brain, and the brain starts supplying the frames of thought. Not thinking, frames of thought, which is constantly going on. Particular event when it demands your attention, then the brain supplies the particular information which is demanded at that moment. Otherwise, it just abruptly starts sending the frames of thought. So the moment you disconnect to now, you are connected to the frames of thought, which is abruptly happening. Now you are conscious of the frames of thought. So any of the thought which you are offering a choice, whether you like it or you don't like it, then you catch the thought frame goes away. But you catch the thought and you go into thinking. You see?
Sometimes there's a dialogue,
Yeah.
not just one thought.
That is thinking. Dialogue is thinking.
There's two thoughts. Like
Dialogue means thinking.
Yeah, but one voice says one thing and the other voice says
Yeah, because you
something.
have lot of different answers. You see, inside. Different informations inside. And it starts comparing, judging. This is going on. But the one who is conscious of it is the consciousness who is aware of this whole moment of thinking which is going on. Thinking means dialogue. You see. So that is what the dream is. At night, when you start getting the dreams, it is nothing but the thought frames which is just moving by its own way. The consciousness, as it has no special demand for attending to some challenge, it is first, before going into silence, it focuses to the thought movement. You see, that because that also is a sensation. So then you start seeing these abrupt thought frames which you call dream. It's like a Hindi movie. All different frames together, you create a dream. You create a new movie. No light today. Om Parkin, one of the known master in Germany and maybe in Europe, he was there for 2 days. So he specially came from Mahabaleshwar. He had a retreat in Mahabaleshwar.
He came to you?
Yes,
Here?
Yeah.
we were together for 2 days. Day before, I just went to see him because he called me. He says he would like to see me. So I went to see him day before. Yesterday night he was here for the dinner
What's
with
his
his
name?
group, Om Parkin.
Oh, that's why
Oh.
he did not have
He's an enlightened master, Om Parkin. He is from the Papaji lineage.
Is he? Madam, I told you again, he's enlightened master. He is.
That is his problem. Why should I bother?
I was in Mahabaleshwar.
In the retreat, God, with Om, in the silent retreat. He came here.
Yesterday he was here.
I met him 6 years back in Switzerland, when he had a retreat in Switzerland, same place where I am staying.
Yeah, Schweidenbach.
And most of these people who were in the retreat were Osho sannyasins. So they came after the retreat was over to see me, and then they were in the satsang, and they were asking me some questions about what he was teaching. And then it was like a contradiction. And then they referred to him, and he came to see me in Switzerland. We had a nice, but then he did not want to talk into the public, so he just took me into the balcony and we had a personal talk. And then his wife, in 6 years back, he had a wife, a child also. His wife was also there in the satsang, and she got something clicked. And then she said, I would like to sit more with you. So she came next day also. And she was sitting with me, asking me so many questions about the enlightenment and so-called enlightenment, about her husband. And in the end, she says that, now I understand that my husband is not an enlightened person. I said, I am not telling you anything. It's better. Then she left. She left him also. And that was a shock to him. So since that day, he wanted to have, he came in the evening and then I was resting and I could not see him. So he left next morning and then this time he called me, he wrote me an email before coming to India that I would like to see you personally.
करते नहीं आते। रश्मि तेरी पर्दों बंद करना है।
So it was nice hammering.
You may meet again. You may meet again. Two of you.
Pardon?
Maybe you will meet again at another occasion.
I don't know whether he has a courage to meet me again. But it was nice. I like his honesty because he started realizing something of, he wanted some clarifications.
Did he have some feelings against, animosity against you for his wife leaving you?
No, in the beginning, yes, he shared with me that in the beginning, yes, he had. But when he started thinking about what I was saying, he felt like something is true. And for that, he wanted to share with me.
And he was very open.
Very open, very open.
Otherwise he wouldn't come.
Yeah. Otherwise, he,
No, day before yesterday we said 3 hours together,
private meeting.
and then tomorrow, yesterday also we said 3 hours.
Yesterday, the whole group came. So they were asking questions, and we were all both sitting here, answering them. A lot of misunderstanding and misconception of so many things people carry, especially in the West, about this enlightenment business. But he is doing good business. How much he charge? $1,000.
510 euro.
And plus, everything plus. How many people were there?
50.
50.
Maybe 6, 7, 8 of his staff.
Yeah, 8 was there. Because yesterday also 8 came.
Was he talking or just silence?
No, he was talking. Silence, except putting questions. Answer.
How do you distinguish between somebody who is in the business, as you put it, or somebody who is genuine? And, I mean, not or, and.
My understanding, I don't know whether I am right, my clarity, my understanding says that once you really know it, you know that there is nothing to give, nothing to help. You cannot help anyone. That is very clear. Especially those who are seeking for enlightenment. So you can help these people by making them understand that this is not possible. See, if you somewhere support or nourish their dream of getting to enlightenment and offering some answer, offering some solution, offering some help, that I can help you to get to the enlightenment, is what I call the holy business. See. Yes, the meaning of satsang is to sit in the presence of truth. The truth means what? Truth means you cannot give the truth, but you can make the people realize what is not truth. What is not true. The truth which you carry something as the truth, spoken by so many people, and you have accepted this something as a truth. The real meaning of sitting with the truth is to make you understand, make you realize that what you understand as truth is not the truth. Is not the truth. So that way you can help. By helping them to make them realize that what you are seeking, what you are searching, what you are trying to become, trying to reach, achieve, is something which is an illusion, a mind game. Make them understand, make them realize, and then give the right direction where they can find their truth. See. So truth is not that I can pass on this truth to you. I can help you to get to that point where you encounter, confront your own truth. But before that, all that what is taken as a truth has to be clear, has to be totally finished. You see. So that truth cannot be defined. There is no definition of the truth. There is a revelation of the truth. You see. Understand this difference. So there is no passing of any kind of knowledge of the truth. But there is a passing of some kind of information where this revelation of truth can be possible at your end. You see. And that truth has no definition. Even if you reveal it, you cannot recognize it. You cannot define it. You cannot put into words. But still, it can be felt. It can be a feel. So this is the whole process. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying.
How does one, I mean, either you feel it or you don't feel it, that's it. That the other person...
So far as you have some idea about truth, you are creating a hindrance to that truth which is all the time available to you. See. So the whole idea of the truth has to be totally shattered off. See. It has to be finished. So when you totally go blank, without any kind of knowledge about that space, about that state of something which you have listened, something which you have collected the knowledge, something people have described. This is the hindrance. And then it is possible that somebody can help you to materialize that kind of knowledge that you carry about the space by putting yourself into a strong state of hypnosis and going into some illusory state of experience which you think that you got it. So this is the other way. The people who help the other disciples to go into a state of hypnosis by supporting what you are dreaming and help you to materialize that dream. And in that state of hypnosis, you can experience that what you were having the knowledge before, and then you start feeling that I got a glimpse of it, I got it. So this, when somebody is helping you to materialize your dream, is a holy business. Because he charges for it. And the people enjoy it because they were searching for it. They were struggling for it. They were all the time demanding for it. And somebody can help to put the other person into such a deep hypnotic state which you are not even aware that it is nothing but a very deep hypnotic illusory state of mind where you start getting the experience of it. There is no experiencer, so there is no experience. But you can materialize it.
Even nothing
nothingness?
Nothingness, I would not say. Nothingness also has some connotation. It is oneness, where you are not separate. Say, ठीक है? Where you are not separate. So that oneness is the truth. Is the truth. And that oneness cannot be experienced. Cannot be experienced. Because it is not separate from you. Very simple example I give many times, that when you are looking at me, this looking, if you are not making an effort to look, it is somewhere a state of oneness, isn't it? So there is no separate looker and there is no separate experience of looking. It is one. So in that oneness, there is something which comes as the understanding. Something which comes as the understanding. Not in reference to the knowledge, but in reference to something which is the truth, which is the reality, which is now. You understand what I am saying? So that oneness which we experience every moment, but we are not even aware. Because we want to experience the oneness. We want to experience that state. And that does not allow me to be in that. To be here now also is a wrong expression. It is totally here now, that's all. So here now is constant flow. And that constant flow is somewhere making you connected to that flow. So either you are listening or looking or tasting or touching, everything is at that moment now. You see. But then there is no separate consciousness, there is no separate knowledge, there is no separate experience which you can record it at that very moment. You see. You are sitting there on the sofa, there is a touch which is happening. Touching also is happening. But you are one with that. So there is no separateness there. So that to be relaxed is to be here now. Just drop all the efforts and then you are into that state. But we are so excited about the spirituality of it that it has to give you some beyond experience. Beyond experience is not possible, beyond understanding is possible. Beyond understanding is possible. Yes?
If we do nothing, the thoughts come and a lot of disturbance come.
So that is natural. So when the thoughts come,
Yeah.
you just be there, that's all. You are not now making any choice of you like it or you don't like it. You want it or you don't want it. You are just staying with it. The moment you stay with it, you become one with it. So there is no separate consciousness of the thought, but you become one with it. So that oneness gives you relaxation, the choice gives you the tension.
But is not doing something?
Provided that moment demands some action from you, it will give you an impulse there.
No, but staying in this position of not judging and not accepting is doing something.
No? It is.
I am no.
Doing means you have a purpose. Here you don't have a purpose. When all the purpose are dropped, when you are not interested to get something out of it. See, what is the difference between the meditation that is happening and meditation that you are doing? So this kind of being totally available to that what is now visible as a sensation, not offering any choice or not doing any kind of judgment, but staying there, just staying there, does not have any purpose. Now, if you use the language that staying there also is a purpose, that is just the fight of language. But actually, the gist of the understanding is drop the purpose, and when you drop the purpose, only it is possible to stay there. See, if you have a purpose of staying there, you cannot stay there. See. So when I use this language, there is a limitation. But if you really understand what is being conveyed, staying means no purpose at all. Choiceless awareness. This is what Krishnamurti expresses in his words. He says that state is a choiceless awareness state. So there is an awareness, but there is no choice. There is no choice. No choice. Now the sound of this generator is happening. You are listening to it. It is coming to your senses of listening. It is constantly flow of sound. Now, if you are offering a choice that you don't like it, it is a disturbance. Then you miss actually the listening of this sound there. Just stay there. Stay with the sound. In that staying, you become the sound. You become one with that. So that oneness where you disappear and what remains is here now. What is here now is the sound. Just try. You are not even trying to listen. It is just happening because you have a sense to listen. It is just a sensation which is happening. Are you there? Just the sound. There is no listener separate who is listening. Just the sound. So this state is what I call the meditation. Just there. And what is now, which is the part of the flow of life, which is creating some kind of activation of the senses there. It activates senses. The sensation, what is happening at this moment, is that now. And that is a continuity. That is a flow. That is a flow. So all thinking stops. Only what remains is a sound. Now this sound, which once upon a time was a disturbance, is it a disturbance now? No. But if you are trying to do it, then it becomes a disturbance. Because you are offering a choice that you want to listen something else. See, you understand what I am saying? And that is to catch this flow. So now what is happening when you are tuning with the sound, you are flowing with the sound. You are flowing with the sound. You are just flowing with the sound. But this is not spiritual, you know. So you create some idea of spirituality where you want something to do which promises the fulfillment of the goal that the mind has created, and you do something in the direction as if you are doing some spiritual or some religious things. But life is not religious, life is not spiritual, life is very ordinary. Very ordinary. If this sound you are tuning with, something else comes up, then you are focusing to there, then you are attending. This is living moment to moment. Just moment to moment. But we are never available to any sensation. We are all the time somewhere available to the reaction, and then the moment you reject it, for a while you understand that you cannot stop it. Then you understand that you cannot stop it. Immediately the mind goes and catches some thought and you go into thinking. You go into thinking. So you are not here, you are somewhere in the past of the frames of thoughts and the thinking which is going on. And we are just this state of remaining connected to the knowledge part is the unconsciousness. This awakening to this, what is happening now, is to be conscious, to be awake. Now, if I translate this, to be awake means you put some effort to be awake. That is not the awakening. And that is why we all say that awakening consciousness is not something which you have lost it. It is constantly there. Because this is what our natural state is. See. It is not something that you have to bring about.
Even this state you're talking about, it happens by itself.
By itself. Again, yes.
Because whatever knowledge or
Only you learn the technique of it. You understand the technique of it. Technique means the mechanism. You see. How the mind is developed, how the mind goes into, it is very natural. The moment you start, this is what I call the sadhana. Sadhana is to bring yourself again and again back to this sensation point again and again. This is what the process is. See. Now you are not making a choice that what kind of awareness you want. You are only making yourself aware and conscious to that what is creating the sensation at this moment. See. So it is choiceless awareness. You are not creating any choice out of it. Or you are not offering any choice whether you want to do something in the direction of you like it or you don't like it. You are just staying it. And this is possible only when you understand the whole understanding of acceptance. You see. Understanding of acceptance is preparing you for that maturity to this level where you realize by yourself, through your own observation, through your own experience, that you have no free will to change either outside or inside. You see, this maturity, that growth of understanding will help you to come to that state of acceptance. Then this state of acceptance, I am using this word state of acceptance, not an effort to accept. Because this is the result of your understanding. Now, your understanding says that the way it is happening, it is the way it is happening. See, this is the way it is happening. So, something which is a part of your understanding tells you not to fight with it or not to run away from it, but stay with it. See, this staying comes, that is the state of acceptance. That is state of acceptance. So then if you are sitting here and listening to the sound of this generator which is noisy and disturbing, you are not going to be disturbed. You are not going to be disturbed. So your here now, this moment is going to be relaxed. You are not going to be disturbed. Otherwise, somebody else who is struggling hard to avoid this sound can start putting the fingers into the ears or get up from the chair and go into the room and close the doors and close the windows so that the sound doesn't come. And the other person who is understanding sits there with a relaxation. So the one who is trying to avoid it, trying to do something about it, is going into the tension. Same situation, the one person can be relaxed and one person can be in a tension. The one who understands can be relaxed. The one who is not understanding can be in tension. This happens with each moment of life. So how to get relaxed? This is the question. Whole our search is to be happy now, to be relaxed now. So how to relax now? How to get to be happy now is this. And if at all there is something which life demands from you to take care of this, then there will be an impulse. So you listen to the impulse. So you have to learn which is the mind's impulse comes from the rejection, from the non-acceptance. The inner impulse comes from the acceptance. The difference is this. First you relax, and in that relaxation there will be an impulse. But before that you have relaxed. Before that you have accepted. But your mind's reaction will be coming from the non-acceptance. You get it clear?
Where does,
That's why I am saying that it is so simple. Yes?
sorry, where does the intention belongs then? To the mind or to the relaxation?
Intention of what?
The intention belongs something like the power of the intention.
See, the basic thing is the intention is coming from your state of unhappiness. Everybody is in a state of unhappiness. Everybody is in a state of tension. And from that point, the search for happiness, search for relaxation or freedom, whatever you call it, begins. Now, your search to get to the relaxation also creates a tension and it adds to your tension. This is where we do not understand. And then you are becoming more tense. Spiritual people are more tense than the worldly people. The spiritual people are more miserable than the worldly ordinary people. Because the spiritual misery has no solution. The worldly misery has some solution. That's why whole life you struggle for getting to that search for happiness. Search for that state which is permanently happy. Now if you learn how to relax, whatever way life is creating this flow and movement, if you learn through your own understanding, and if you just start living with that understanding, it is a permanent relaxation with all the disturbances around. Huh?
Yeah, but can it be my intention to learn to do that?
In the beginning, yes, because you have one only instrument, that is mind or the intellect.
So is there any power in this intention?
There is power to understand and power to fight. So which way you are using is up to you. You need a power to observe, to experience, to understand. You need a power. You need some energy to do it. So that part is somewhere maybe defined as doing. You see, but that doing takes you to the non-doing or doing without a doer. You see. So you have hunger inside and you have pain of hunger, right? So this pain which is demanding your action to find out the food, right? So this is the tension there. You are doing something to find out the food. You are doing an effort, you are making an effort, you are using your knowledge, where to find the food, how to cook the food, you are using the knowledge. But when you prepare the food and eat, what happens? Your point of intention is relaxed. Isn't it? So there the continuity of doing or continuity of the mind finishes. So even after you eat, you don't go on cooking. But even after whatever we are searching, there is no end to it. Every day you are doing meditation. One meditation should finish it. Why do you want to repeat it again? That means you are not going to the right direction. You are not going to the right direction. I hope I'm being clear.
You're a little bit in the same train. These last few days I was in the Osho commune. I came to see on Sunday. And I was really starting to feel, the energy's going back in. That's why I came to India, because in the West it's out, talking, reading, thinking, movies. So I was really enjoying this feeling, the energy's coming back in. And then, I guess it was last night I went to this course, and I could hear so much, the mind was so noisy. It was like jumping up and down. And I could see, I don't know if it was the desire of wanting to keep going in, or if it's an automatic reaction that when the mind sees the energy going in, it wants more attention. Can you talk about that, or how to, I wanted to keep on enjoying that feeling of going inside. the mind wanted me to think about anything else. It didn't matter. It was just changing subjects like that.
So when you say that in the West you are just putting your energy out. Now when you come here in India or in Osho commune, you will feel that you are putting the energy in. But the purpose is same. Whether you take the outer journey or you take the inner journey, the doer is the same. You understand what I am saying?
Starting to
Because you have changed the purpose. There you have different purpose to go out for making money or doing job or attending something. So that purpose was demanding your energy out. Now you have changed the purpose when you come here to get to the enlightenment, to get to some kind of spiritual experience. And then that was demanding to put the energy in, put the effort in. So it is the same. You understand what I am saying? And the mind was very happy because mind was busy, either doing outside or inside. Mind is somewhere busy doing. Mind is busy or mind survives only when there is a purpose created. Either you create a purpose inside or you create a purpose outside. You keep the mind survive. The moment the mind starts struggling so hard, the moment it loses the grip of the purpose. Maybe last Sunday you listened to me and somewhere you realize the whole futility of the purpose. And when you see really, you understand really that there is no purpose. When there is no purpose, how the mind can survive? It was like struggle of the mind to survive.
Yeah.
See. So if you give a purpose, the mind will be very quiet. It's like the child is crying. If you give some chocolate, the child is very quiet. Child is crying all the time. So you go on giving some chocolate, something on to hold it. This is the problem with the mind. Mind only can survive if there is a purpose, if there is a future point. On a future point. You get me what I am saying? So your experience that night, that mind was, and then the anger of the mind, the last struggle. If you are giving again a purpose, the moment you go back to the commune, you start working or doing meditations, the mind will be quiet. Mind will be quiet. I am trying to finish the whole purpose. This is what I was sharing. That's something which you was so much strongly believing that this is something which you can achieve, something which you can reach. Indirectly, even without your knowing, I am slashing on that. I am just trying to take away your dreams. That is very difficult. Very difficult. So people get frustrated here when they come here. They just run away. So better to go to a place where your mind is very happy, where somebody is just nourishing your dream, giving some juice to your dream. That's the best way. So unfortunately you came here and you got this.
So, I guess my question is, when the mind is jump, like
Accept
that,
it. My master key is accept that mind who is jumping. Just accept it. Say yes to that mind. Don't even create a purpose that you want to quieten the mind.
That is,
You see, look at it and it will be quiet by itself. Because mind is nothing but an illusion. It's a myth. The consciousness getting attached to the knowledge part, it is the whole game of consciousness and energy. What we have is a brain which is accumulation of knowledge, information. When the consciousness gets attached to it and becomes one with the knowledge, this is the mind. Acceptance creates somewhere a natural detachment from this attachment. Where you will, first you will be absolutely jumping with this mind jumping, as if you are jumping, you are into the tension, you are into the pain. But the moment you say yes, the next step will be you are aware of that mind which is jumping, which is into the pain. The detachment happens and stay with it. Automatically it will be quiet. But this is the point where everybody runs away because this is too much. It's too much. That is why I use this word, it is a dark night of the mind, not the soul. Because once you start experimenting with this understanding of acceptance, the first phase, which I call the side effects of this, will be very strong reaction from the mind. Very strong reaction. It might go into depression also. First it goes into frustration. And when frustration, you are not doing something to the frustration or not giving again a chocolate to the mind, then it goes into a very deep depression. It loses the interest into everything, as if nothing is left into the life. All interest is gone. This is also a part of the side effect. I tell people, those who really go through it, that this is a side effect, this you have to go through. You accept that also, pass through it, doesn't matter. Keep cool, just keep cool. But this is very difficult, and this is the point where everybody runs away. I can see from my 10 years of experience with thousands of people, I could see this. That they don't stay with me. They don't stay with this experiment. They run away. They are not even aware that somewhere they are again caught into this mind game.
So usually I've been through that many times, and usually then I start reading, watching movies, I create
you
something,
escape.
and it doesn't feel good. So do you have like a, because I'm gonna go back to the West, do you have like a little way I can remind myself?
Remind yourself that whenever there is somewhere either an action which creates a reaction, a painful reaction or a joyful reaction, just stay with it, accept it, and provided there is an impulse to do something to it, don't jump into the action immediately. That's all. Keep cool. Remind yourself that this is the way it is happening. That's all. So either you are just busy in changing the outside happening or busy in changing the reaction which is happening to the mind. In both the ways you are making yourself busy. To remain relaxed into that center of relaxation, slowly, if you practice this, then you will see that nothing disturbs you with all the disturbances outside and inside. You will remain into the center. Then a slow transformation will start happening. But that is a long process. How strong your mind you have developed.
Yeah, and I was thinking about you, because I just came to see you. I was thinking you said, well, when it started happening for you, you were sitting in that chair on your porch, hours and hours. And I was wondering, did you like sitting there, or did you kind of sit there in spite of the irritation, or how was that?
I was just sitting. I was not counting the hours.
Yeah.
I was just sitting and the hours were passing. And just sitting means first you are conscious that you are aware of something, and suddenly that oneness happens, the awareness also disappears and you are gone. First, only what you are aware of remains, like I was telling you, that sound remains. And you stay with the sound. At certain moment, the sound also disappears. Though the sound is happening, the sound also disappears and you are just gone. When you are just gone, we call it satori or samadhi, whatever name you want to give it, but it just happens naturally. There is no effort that you are doing to go to the satori or samadhi. It is somewhere your natural state which comes slowly, by itself. The grass grows by itself. The spring comes. That state naturally comes. Only if you are just staying there. But staying does not imply any effort. It is just, first you tune with the way it is happening. I was watching the fan which was moving. So I was just aware of the movement of the fan through my eyes. So I was conscious only of the movement of the fan. I was not conscious of that I am the watcher and the fan is moving. First you disappear as a watcher. Then what remains is the movement where you are conscious of. So the movement remains, and certain point, even with your open eyes, it just disappears. It just disappears. So how many hours passes, time does not, it is not a part of your consciousness that when you are sitting here, we are talking for 2 hours, 3 hours. We are not even aware that we have been talking 3 hours. It just passes. Isn't it? But this sounds contradictory to what you have been heard, what you have been taught, what you have been convinced. Because it cannot be so simple. It cannot be so simple. Because you have a lot of investment into it. How can it be so simple? So there must be something. You have to do something. Otherwise, why people are just saying? Why people are asking us to do? If you enjoy it, it's your freedom.
And what about those big experiences people talk about? Of bliss or whatever.
Huh?
Bliss, full state.
Bliss is not an experience. It is your natural state. As I was talking, that relaxed state is a blissful state, is a happy state. Whatever name you want to give it, whether you call it a happy state or a blissful state or a joyful state, but that also is not as an experience when you are into it. There is no bliss, there is no happiness, there is no joy, there is nothing. Afterwards, when you come back, then the mind starts defining what was it. So it was not a pain, so it must be joy. It was not unhappiness, it must be happiness. It was not disturbance, it must be blissful. So then you say that I was in a blissful state, or I was in a joyful state, or I was in a happy state. This is the after definition. But when you are in, there is no pain and there is no joy. There is no happiness, there is no unhappiness. There is nothing there. Because that reactionary experience that the mind has does not exist there. Does not exist there. Like a void. But that also is it's a definition, because that is, you cannot, you call it nothingness, I call it fullness. So what exactly nobody can define. Nobody can define. You cannot call it that it was a state of Paramatman or Atman or state of consciousness or nobodiness. It is all after definitions that we want to share with something. And all the words are coined by the mind, and the words always imply some kind of doing, some kind of effort.
I sometimes feel that whatever the information or the knowledge is being given is useless.
Sorry.
And
Light નથી આવી. બેટરી લાઈટ ચાલશે.
એ સ્ટેટ આવે છે પોતાની મેળે ને જાય છે તો the information
That is a hindrance. That is a hindrance, because the first experience that you get is a natural experience. Say, suddenly you went into that state because you had no purpose, you had no effort, but you suddenly went by your natural way. When you come back, same mind defines it was a blissful state, it was a happy state. Then the same mind creates a desire to go back again to that state. This is the game. It wants to go back again to that state, and the moment you try to go back again to that state, it does not come.
No, but it again becomes automatic.
The moment, that is the part of understanding.
Yeah.
And that is where I am insisting on the understanding that this is a causal. There cannot be an effort, there cannot be a purpose. So learn how to flow. And this whole understanding of acceptance makes you understand how to connect into the flow. Instead of trying to get to that state, just understand what creates the hindrance to that state. See, I am emphasizing on making you aware of the hindrances. That what creates a hindrance? Hindrance is your natural mind which has gone into a very natural non-acceptance of something which is happening outside and inside. So a part of understanding makes you understand by through your observation that understand the whole process of life, the nature of life. Look around how the life functions. What is the nature of life? Understand it. Through your own observation, not through listening or reading. Look around, look to the nature, look to the birds, look to the trees, look to the animals, look to the whole expression of life around. Look to the children. Just look and observe. And through the observation, you get some understanding, your own clarity of the way life functions. At the same time, look to your mind. You have a mind. Look to your mind. How the mind reacts. How? The moment you go into some natural reaction, again, stay there, look there, how it happened. This is observation. Observe it. Learn from your own observation, keeping aside all the books. And then through this learning, you really understand something. And this understanding will bring you to that state of acceptance, where you will understand by yourself that I cannot change there, I cannot change this. I cannot change this mind also, and I cannot change the life also. This I cannot change has to be your understanding. If I tell you that you cannot change, you don't understand. It has to go through your own process of observation and experiments. See. Again and again, you go on repeating, and then from that observation, you will understand that this is the reality, this is the fact. And once you understand the fact and start accepting with the understanding, then automatically that which was a hindrance disappears. Then you are already there. So here you have not to do something, but there you have to do something to remind yourself, to understand something. This is what I am emphasizing. And the whole process, what if I call it process or technique, is to learn through your observation. Krishnamurti used to say, observe. Look at the fear. If you want to be free from the fear, look at the fear. That means what? Observe it. How does the fear arises? You are going naturally into the fear. So that moment you are unconscious. But when you come back again look, again watch, again see how the fear came, how the phenomena of fear happens. You have a brain, you have that capacity to understand. Everybody, it is the nature of consciousness to understand. See, that is why I always say that the nature of the mirror, the nature of the emptiness of the mirror is to reflect. You understand this? It is the same nature of consciousness to understand. The consciousness means it understands something. It has some absorption of some knowing. This is the nature of consciousness. And then out of the knowing, the brain collects the knowledge. See? So this knowing has to come. And knowing only comes when you are available to it. You are connected to it. Otherwise not. If you taste the sugar on your tongue, put the sugar on your tongue, then and then you will have the knowing of sugar, which is sweetness. Unless you connect there. And that connection is to accept, to stay there. If it is painful, connect to the painful. If it is joyful, connect to the joyful. Just connect it. Connection is possible only when you accept it. The moment that happens, the mind goes into a strong reaction, which is non-acceptance. This is natural because we have been brought up from the childhood to go into this natural moment of non-acceptance. See? And this is where we have to rectify, that's all. Nothing more. Nothing more at all. And this needs a lot of deep understanding of something which you really get a glimpse of it. I don't know whether I am. Yes?
You were mentioned Krishnamurti.
Yes.
I was thinking about Krishnamurti when you say, when you are in this state of acceptance, you will never be upset by a noise. I remember Krishnamurti in Salem. He was really upset when someone was making a noise or the train was passing by. So sometimes I feel all these so-called wise person or enlightened, they are.
But I have the contrary example of Krishnamurti when he was coming to Bombay and sitting in that JJ School of Art compound where the evening satsang was happening, Krishnamurti discourses, and these trees were full of crows, cow, you know, and such a noise was happening that we were all in the audience listening Krishnamurti, and it was such a disturbance, I tell you. And Krishnamurti was not disturbed. He was just flowing absolutely into his flow. And we were all trying to listen because the crows are making so much noise. So I have seen that contrary example. I don't know about Krishnamurti getting disturbed. But if it is a disturbance, then it must be a natural impulse at that moment. See? A natural impulse, which is not out of any kind of reaction or rejection, but a natural impulse.
Even Krishnamurti didn't like Osho sannyasis also, when Osho was standing sannyasi.
It was not his likes or dislikes. He was getting irritated with
Yeah,
it.
but that's what it is.
Was there more than one Krishnamurti?
Yeah, there are two Krishnamurti. One is J. Krishnamurti and U.G. Krishnamurti.
So which one are we talking
J. Krishnamurti we are talking about. The one who is not